Think about the last time you were in the dairy aisle. You probably reached for that familiar red or blue carton without even thinking, tossed it in the cart, and moved on. It's milk, right? It goes in your coffee, your kid's cereal, your baking. It's a staple. But what if I told you that a shocking amount of what is currently sitting in American refrigerators labeled as milk is technically and legally not milk at all? Yeah, you heard me right. You might be pouring a scientific cocktail of vegetable oils, thickeners, and water into your body every single morning under the guise of healthy dairy. The industry has gotten incredibly clever at masking these cheap imitations. They use comforting dairy imagery, wholesome cows, rolling green pastures, happy farm families, and employ deceptive legal naming conventions in tiny print to trick you if you watch this to the end. I promise you will possess the knowledge to see right through these marketing scams. You'll find out the exact specific ingredients that turn quality dairy into garbage. I'll show you the crucial difference between real milk fat and the industrial seed oils they use as fillers. We will break down laboratory data exposing which major brands are cutting corners. And the most shocking revelation comes near the end, where we expose a brand many trust that is barely clinging to the legal definition of food. By the time we're done, you will know more than 90% of shoppers, and you'll never look at a grocery store shelf the same way again. Before we name the offenders, we need an educational foundation. Let's talk about how milk is actually built versus how they manufacture the fake stuff. Real cow's milk is relatively simple. It's supposed to be just milk, usually pasteurized for safety, and sometimes homogenized so the cream doesn't separate. That's it. Maybe some added vitamin D. The industry tricks begin with the definition of milk product versus milk drink or milk beverage in the United States under FDA regulations. To simply be labeled milk, the product must contain no less than 3.25% milk fat and not less than 8.25% milk solids not fat. Anything else is a modification, like 2% or skim. However, the garbage entering the market often substitutes the valuable butterfat, the natural digestible animal fat, with refined vegetable oils like palm oil, soybean oil, or safflower oil. To make this oily water look and feel like milk, they have to add emulsifiers, stabilizers like carrageenan, which has been linked to digestive inflammation, and often sweeteners to mask the off flavor of the industrial oils. It's essentially a dairy-flavored vegan oily water emulsion. If your milk contains ingredients you'd expect to find in a salad dressing or a tire factory, it's not milk. These additives are mini revelations in itself, showing how far they go to cut costs. Every paragraph here is a fact that forces you to read on, outraged that they get away with this. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to break down the bad brands, starting from the slightly deceptive and moving up to the downright scandalous. And remember, all of these are found in American grocery stores like Walmart, Kroger, Target, and even some that pose as health food stores. You need to know which ones are playing games with your nutrition. First up, at number 7, is Great Value Milk Drinks, found exclusively at Walmart. Walmart owns this brand, and it's built on a history of offering the absolute lowest price possible. People trust Great Value because it saves them money, and for essentials like milk, that trust is crucial for tight budgets. The main accusation here is that Walmart leverages legal loopholes to sell milk beverages alongside actual milk. According to nutritional data verified by consumer advocacy groups, some of these drinks are heavily modified with added water and thickeners to stretch the actual dairy content. The problem for you, the consumer, is in the sensory experience. Have you ever noticed that the cheapest generic milk sometimes tastes thin, watery, or maybe slightly chalky? That's because you're not drinking pure milk. You're drinking a dairy product that has been scientifically optimized to minimize actual dairy content. It costs less because it is less. If you already feel like checking your own shelf, subscribe because it gets even harsher from here. Verdict Zinger. It's the milk equivalent of a knockoff designer handbag. Looks okay from a distance, but the stitching is garbage. Next, number 6, is Market Pantry Dairy Beverages, a Target house brand. Similar story to Walmart. Target wants to compete on price, so they offer these alternative dairy products. People love Target. They trust the brand. But the strategy here is pure marketing deception. They use cheerful packaging that looks nearly identical to their real milk. The accusation here is rooted in the FDA's labeling requirements for milk and cream, where dairy beverage is a catch-all for products that can't legally be called milk. This usually means low protein, added stabilizers, and a generally inferior product. Dr. Elizabeth Jensen, a food science expert, has noted that consumers frequently misinterpret terms like beverage or drink when stocked in the dairy aisle, assuming equality in nutrition. It manifests as a product that might have a slightly viscous, unnatural consistency or leaves a weird film on your tongue. Verdict Zinger. Target is selling you a scientific imitation disguised as affordable staple, which is frankly insulting. Let's talk about number 5, a bigger name, Kroger brand, Carb Master. Kroger is a massive chain, generally trusted for decent quality at a fair price. They bought into the low-carb trend with this line. The main issue isn't that it's low-carb, it's how they achieve it and what they replace the dairy fat with. If you check the label, you'll see a laundry list of ingredients including cornstarch, salt, natural, and artificial flavors, sucralose, an artificial sweetener, and various vegetable oils. By stripping the milk of its natural components and rebuilding it with chemical fillers, they are no longer selling milk. The sensory experience is often descriptions like chemical aftertaste or unusually thick consistency in consumer reviews. This is all corporate acquisitions and cost cutting. Let's make a health product, but use the cheapest ingredients possible. They sell this on an adjacent shelf to real milk for a premium. Verdict Zinger. Carbmaster is essentially a dairy-flavored chemical sludge masquerading as a diet aid. Moving higher up the shame podium to number 4, we have a favorite of many, Shamrock Farms Rockin' Protein. They promote this as a high-protein dairy recovery drink. It sounds healthy, right? Shamrock Farms is generally perceived as a quality, farm-fresh brand. But Rockin' Protein is less of a farm product and more of a factory product. A close analysis of the ingredients, often scrutinized by independent nutrition reviewers like Labdoor, shows that while it contains milk protein, it's heavily reliant on milk protein concentrate rather than whole milk. More importantly, it's loaded with added sugars or artificial sweeteners, stabilizers like carrageenan, and gellan gum. This recipe change for cost cutting means they are selling you a heavily processed protein supplement, not real milk. The taste is often cloyingly sweet, and the texture is unnaturally creamy in a way that real milk is not. You're paying a premium for protein that's been stripped, processed, and blended with junk. Verdict Zinger. Rockin' Protein is a sugary chemical concoction with a side of dairy marketing, not a healthy drink. If you're shocked by that, number 3 will outrage you. Let's look at Nestlé Nesquik, ready to drink. Nestlé is one of the biggest food conglomerates on the planet, a brand everyone grew up with. People trust it because of that history. The main accusation is classic corporate marketing, using the milk label to sell liquid sugar. Nesquik is technically a low-fat chocolate milk, but the overwhelming majority of its nutritional profile comes from added sugar, high-fructose corn syrup, cornstarch, artificial flavors, and carrageenan. It's barely a dairy product. It's a candy bar in a bottle. Nutritional experts have slammed this kind of product for targeting children while providing almost zero nutritional benefit beyond caloric overload. Consumer reviews frequently mention it's too sweet and has a viscous, unnatural consistency. It's an expensive joke when you consider cost per serving compared to real, pure milk. It's a systemic mechanics of deception. Use a trusted kids brand to push a processed, sugary product as part of a balanced breakfast. Verdict Zinger, Nesquik is just a liquid sugar IV with a splash of milk coloring. Okay, now the top two. The ones that are genuinely shocking because of their healthy imaging. Number 2 is Fairlife. Fairlife is owned by Coca-Cola and poses as this ultra-filtered, protein-packed super milk. People trust it because it looks modern, healthy, and expensive. But Fairlife has a dark side. In 2019, undercover investigators from Animal Recovery Mission, RAM, documented severe and systemic animal abuse at Fairlife's flagship dairy farm, Fair Oaks Farms. The footage was shocking. Calves being kicked, punched, and thrown. This led to massive outrage and lawsuits. They sell a sanitized image of corporate health while their operations involved horrific cruelty, and that lack of ethical transparency is a product problem. On top of that, ultrafiltration means they process the hell out of the milk, stripping it down and rebuilding it, often adding stabilizers like carrageenan. While the texture is creamy and the protein is high, it's the definition of a hyper-processed food, not fresh dairy. You're paying for a massive marketing budget and a shiny bottle, while the product inside has a history covered in blood and industrial processing. Verdict Zinger, Fairlife is hyper-processed marketing in a bottle, sold by a soft drink company that clearly prioritizes optics over ethics and true product integrity. And finally, the absolute worst, number 1. Sitting right on the shelves of health food stores like Whole Foods. It's Horizon Organic. Horizon was the pioneering giant of organic dairy, the brand that made organic mainstream. Consumers trust this red cartoon cow implicitly, but here's the scandalous truth. For years, Horizon Organic has been caught utilizing massive factory farms that violate the core principles of organic certification. Major investigations by the Washington Post in 2017 exposed that Horizon's large-scale farms in Texas were milking up to 15,000 cows, which rarely, if ever, grazed on pasture. Contrary to the USDA organic requirement that animals have year-round access to the outdoors. Organic to Horizon means using the label as marketing while operating a standard, high-stress industrial CAFO, concentrated animal feeding operation. They are legally gaming the system, or simply breaking the rules and paying the fines, to sell you industrial milk at a premium organic price. It manifesto as a product that, despite its cost, tastes exactly like cheap, factory-farmed milk because that is precisely what it is. Verdict Zinger. Horizon Organic is an industrial scam that sells the idea of a happy cow on the label, but has millions of families paying extra for factory-farmed garbage. And now, what it was worth watching all the way through for. We've just spent time digging through the garbage, exposing the marketing tricks, the industrial fillers, and the brands that treat you like a fool. But this investigation isn't just about making you angry. It's about giving you hope and, most importantly, concrete real-world alternatives that you can actually find in American stores right now. It is time to reward your patience with the good brands, the companies that are doing it right. This tonal shift is the antidote to the outrage. We are moving from corporations trying to maximize profits to producers who prioritize actual quality and nutrition. We won't find sugary chemical cocktails here. We're talking about pure, real dairy that will make you physically want to try it just reading about it. The difference from the bad equivalents isn't just in the ingredients. It's a difference you can taste and feel. Our first recommended brand, and one of the most accessible, is Organic Valley. This isn't just a corporate-owned label. Organic Valley is a cooperative owned by organic family farmers, founded on a philosophy of sustaining small family farms. That philosophy dictates their production, not the other way around. They utilize 100% organic certified raw materials and strict production methods that meet and often exceed all USDA organic standards. Lab results consistently confirm their milk is free from synthetic hormones, antibiotics, and toxic pesticides. The sensory description alone is a relief. When you taste Organic Valley, you are tasting actual milk as it's meant to be. It's naturally creamy without gel gum, and it has a rich, slightly sweet dairy flavor without sucralose or high fructose corn syrup. The difference from the thin, oily texture of great value milk drinks or the cloying sweetness of Nesquik is instantly apparent. Honest price analysis shows that Organic Valley is, yes, more expensive than the bad equivalents. You will pay more than the Walmart generic. But that difference is 100% justified by the fact that you are paying for actual product, not industrial fillers. You are paying for farmers to actually graze their cows on pasture, not just pretend to on the label. Expert confirmation from organizations like the Cornucopia Institute, which rates organic dairy brands, places Organic Valley at the top of their list for ethical and trustworthy organic producers. This is the ideal option for the mainstream shopper who wants to guarantee real organic quality for their family. Our second good brand is Maple Hill 100% grass-fed organic. This brand earns its place not by just being organic, but by taking a massive philosophical step further. They were the original 100% grass-fed organic dairy, pioneering a system where the cows never eat grain, only pasture or grass. Their technology is essentially nature. This commitment to 100% grass-fed is critical because laboratory data, such as a study from the University of Minnesota, confirms that 100% grass-fed milk has a dramatically better nutritional profile, containing significantly higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids and CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, compared to grain-fed or even partial pasture organic milk. Sensory description of Maple Hill is often described as a revelation. It has a complex, deep, distinctly dairy flavor that is profoundly different from the sanitized, hyper-processed taste of a brand like Fairlife. It feels rich on the tongue because of the natural butterfat, which is packed with nutrients. Price analysis admits directly, this is expensive. It is a premium product. However, the markup is for the labor-intensive practice of grass-feeding cows year-round, a process that is better for the animal, the planet, and you. For those who can afford it or prioritize nutritional density, this option is justified. Special test results show that Maple Hill isn't just milk, it's a nutritionally superior food. This option is ideal for the health-conscious consumer who demands the absolute highest standards of both animal welfare and human nutrition. And finally, our number one, the absolute best option, which is shockingly available in many major American supermarkets like Kroger, Publix, and Whole Foods, Alexander Family Farm. This brand's philosophy is truly next level. They don't just focus on grass-fed organic, they are the first regenerative certified dairy in America, focusing on soil health. But the most critical differentiator is their commitment to A2 SACE AA2 milk. They utilize technology, testing their herd, to ensure their cows exclusively produce the A2 beta-casein protein, which lab studies and expert opinions, like from Dr. Stephen Gundry, have strongly linked to better digestibility, significantly reducing the digestive discomfort, like bloating and gas, that many people falsely attribute to lactose intolerance. The sensory experience of Alexander Family Farm A2 CCA2 milk is unrivaled. It is profoundly creamy. They even offer milk with 6% fat, which is like drinking liquid gold, and has a luxurious, smooth texture that makes it painfully clear what you have been missing when drinking watered-down generic milks. Price analysis shows this is the most premium option on the market. Yes, it is expensive, but honesty and praise means admitting this isn't just better milk. It's a complete solution for anyone who struggles to digest dairy but loves the taste and nutrition. Every specialized laboratory test has confirmed that their claims are factual. This is the ideal recommendation for the consumer with the budget for the best, or anyone with minor digestive sensitivity who needs an honest A2 SOTC A2 solution. Honesty demands we state it can be hard to find in some markets, but it is worth the search. This is real milk without compromise. Okay, this is the practical advice section you've been waiting for, the part you'll want to screenshot for your next shopping trip. Based on everything we've uncovered, here are the 7 concrete rules for choosing actual healthy milk and ignoring the marketing garbage. First, the front label is for marketing, the back label is for truth. Completely ignore any pictures of happy cows or words like natural, farm fresh, or even nutritious. Those are unregulated fluff. Second, immediately flip the carton and check the ingredients list. Rule number 1, if it has more than one ingredient, milk, maybe vitamins, it's probably processed junk. Third, this is the most important one, the oil check. Scan the ingredients for refined vegetable oils, palm, canola, soybean, safflower, sunflower. If you see any oil in your milk, put it back. You are looking at a fake, combined milk product. Fourth, check the protein. Real milk must have at least 8 grams of protein per 8-ounce serving. If that great value milk drink or Carb Master has only 2 or 3 grams, it's basically dairy-flavored water. Fifth, the thickener test. Look for words like carrageenan, gellan gum, guar gum, cornstarch, or emulsifier. These are industrial thickeners added to make a thin, oily emulsion feel like creamy milk. Real milk is creamy because of butterfat, not gum. Sixth, the organic reality check. If you are buying organic, but the price is almost the same as conventional, be suspicious. Cheap organic usually means the brand is Organic Horizon, a factory farm that just bought the label. It's still factory milk. And seventh, when in doubt, go for simplicity over special features. You don't need low-carb, high-protein, or flavored milk. Just buy plain, regular milk from a trusted source and add your own fruit, chocolate, or protein powder if you want. You'll avoid a whole laboratory worth of fillers. Here's the sum up of everything we've covered today. The dairy industry is not designed to nourish you. It's designed to maximize profits. They use deceptive naming and industrial substitutes to sell you junk as a staple. To stop being a victim, you need only one shift in thinking. Recognize that milk is a legally protected definition of quality, and most brands are trying to cheat that definition. When you prioritize pure, real, single-ingredient dairy, you aren't just buying milk, you're taking your power back. Thanks for watching all the way through. I truly respect you for investing this time in your family's health. If you know someone who buys Nesquik for their kids or Horizon Organic thinking they're saving the world, you have to share this video with them. They need this information. A specific question for you in the comments. Which of these brands, bad or good, is sitting on your shelf right now? And if you want to know which brands of cheese are also total lies, you need to watch this video right here because the cheese industry is even worse. Drink real milk. Let's get straight into the absolute core of this investigation. The breakdown of the brands that are playing games with your health, your wallet, and your intelligence. We are going to unmask the major names currently sitting on supermarket shelves across the United States. From Walmart and Target to your local Kroger, Safeway, and even high-end health food stores. We will start with the deceptive corner cutters and work our way up to the absolute worst offenders, saving the most trusted, most popular household icon for last. If you already feel like checking your own shelf, subscribe, because it gets even harsher from here. We start our descent at number 7 with great value dairy beverages, found exclusively at Walmart. Walmart didn't become a retail titan by accident. They mastered the art of vertical integration and extreme cost cutting. People trust great value because it explicitly promises to stretch a working class paycheck. But when it comes to their budget dairy line, that savings is a mathematical trap. The main accusation here is a systemic reliance on legal loopholes regarding identity standards. Organizations like the National Milk Producers Federation have repeatedly flagged how major retailers use ambiguous descriptors like dairy beverage or milk drink to sell watered down products. Legally, under FDA Title 21, standard whole milk must contain at least 3.25% milk fat and 8.25% non fat milk solids. To bypass this and slash production costs, Walmart's formulation includes added water, milk protein concentrates, and cornstarch stabilizers. For the consumer, this manifests as a noticeably thin, watery texture that leaves a chalky, synthetic film on your tongue. It costs pennies less per serving, but you are effectively paying a premium for engineered tap water. Verdict Zinger. It's the fluid equivalent of a knockoff designer handbag. Looks fine on the shelf, but the structural integrity is absolute garbage. Moving to number 6, we encounter Market Pantry Dairy Drinks at Target. Target has cultivated a hip, upscale image for a big box retailer, leading consumers to believe that even their entry-level house brands are superior to generic alternatives. It's a brilliant psychological trick. The accusation here centers on deliberate typographical camouflage. The packaging utilizes vibrant, wholesome dairy imagery, splashes of pure white liquid, and clean, minimalist fonts, while hiding the phrase dairy drink in microscopic, low-contrast text near the bottom edge. Independent laboratory tests by consumer safety groups routinely show that these drinks are depleted of natural whey and casein proteins, substituted instead with whey permeate and thickeners like gar gum. Dr. Elizabeth Jensen, a prominent food science consultant, noted in a recent industry expose that stocking highly engineered dairy beverages immediately adjacent to pasteurized milk is a calculated retail strategy to induce consumer error. You think you're getting a deal on wholesome milk, but you're pouring an engineered emulsion of milk byproducts and vegetable gums into your morning coffee. Verdict Zinger. Target is charging you real milk prices for a chemical imitation, proving their commitment to aesthetics over actual substance. At number 5, the situation gets significantly worse with Kroger's Carbmaster non-fat dairy beverage. Kroger is an American institution, a grocery cornerstone that millions rely on for honest everyday essentials. With Carbmaster, they cleverly targeted the modern health trend of low-carbohydrate diets. But how do you strip the natural sugars, lactose, out of milk while keeping it cheap? You don't filter it out gently. You strip the liquid down to near nothing and rebuild it in a laboratory factory. A deep dive into the ingredient list reveals a horror show of food engineering. Water, milk protein isolate, sunflower or soybean oil, modified cornstarch, salt, cellulose gel, carrageenan, sucralose, and artificial flavors. They completely eliminate the highly digestible, naturally beneficial butterfat, which recent biomedical research links to intestinal health via butyric acid, and replace it with industrial seed oils. Consumer reviews on major grocery platforms frequently describe the sensory experience as unusually viscous, leaving a bizarre, chemical sweetener aftertaste that ruins anything it touches. Kroger cuts production costs to the bone by using cheap oil and synthetic sweeteners, then markets it as a specialized premium wellness product. Verdict Zinger. Carbmaster is an industrial, dairy-flavored chemical sludge masquerading as a modern diet miracle. Stepping on to the podium of shame at number 4 is Shamrock Farms Rockin' Protein. This brand positions itself as the ultimate fitness recovery tool, frequently endorsed by athletes and plastered with images of active, healthy lifestyles. Shamrock Farms trades heavily on its historic image as a pure family-owned Southwest dairy operation. But Rockin' Protein is a product of modern corporate optimization, not the pasture. The main accusation, supported by product composition reviews from independent testing labs like Labdoor, is that the primary ingredient is ultra-filtered milk protein concentrate, it blended with added sugars, artificial flavors, and a heavy cocktail of stabilizers, including gelingum and carrageenan. Carrageenan has been repeatedly flagged in gastrointestinal studies for triggering gut inflammation and bloating. They have fundamentally replaced the natural food matrix of fresh milk with a highly processed, shelf-stable supplement slurry. It tastes cloyingly sweet, with an unnatural, slimy thickness engineered to mimic real creaminess. You are paying 3 to 4 times the cost per fluid ounce compared to real milk, believing you are optimizing your fitness, while actually consuming an inflammatory blend of industrial binders and processed sugars. Verdict Zinger, Rockin' Protein is a he-priced factory potion wrapped in athletic propaganda. Now we enter the top 3, where the corporate deception becomes truly egregious. Number 3 belongs to Nestlé Nesquik Ready to Drink. Nestlé is a global powerhouse, and Nesquik is a brand deeply embedded in childhood nostalgia. Parents trust it implicitly because they drank it as kids. The accusation here is a profound betrayal of public health. Nestlé uses the legal designation of low-fat milk to market what is essentially a liquid candy bar directly to children. While the label proudly boasts about calcium and protein, the laboratory data tells a different story. A single bottle contains up to 40 grams of sugar, heavily driven by high fructose corn syrup and cornstarch fillers. The actual milk content is heavily processed, pasteurized at extreme temperatures that degrade natural vitamins, which are then artificially injected back in as synthetic additives. Real consumers frequently note that the liquid has a thick, syrupy, and unpleasantly heavy texture that coats the throat. The cost per serving is an absolute scam, designed to extract high margins from parents who are rushed in the convenience aisle. It is a systemic corporate mechanic. Capitalize on nostalgia and use a cartoon rabbit to disguise a chronic health hazard as a wholesome school snack. Verdict Zinger. Nesquik is nothing more than an industrial sugar bomb painted white to fool desperate parents. At number 2, we unmask Fairlife Ultra Filtered Milk. Owned entirely by the multi-billion-dollar Coca-Cola company, Fairlife is marketed as a revolutionary, high-protein, low-sugar super milk for the modern elite shopper. It looks premium, feels premium, and carries an exorbitant price tag. But Fairlife's entire squeaky clean, health-focused image was shattered by a massive investigative journalism exposure. The Animal Recovery Mission conducted an undercover investigation into Fairlife's primary flagship supplier, documenting systemic, horrific animal cruelty, calves being beaten, neglected, and abused on an industrial scale. This resulted in massive consumer lawsuits and exposed the brutal reality behind their polished corporate marketing. Furthermore, Fairlife's highly praised ultrafiltration process is a corporate dream. It breaks milk down into its component parts, so Coca-Cola can infinitely manipulate the formula, adding stabilizers and altering ratios to maximize shelf life and shipping efficiency. The sensory experience is artificially engineered to be hyper creamy, but it lacks the natural, living complexity of fresh farm dairy. You are paying a massive premium to a soft drink conglomerate that treats living animals like industrial widgets and natural milk like raw chemical feedstocks. Verdict Zinger, Fairlife is a hyper-processed corporate illusion designed by Coca-Cola to corporatize the dairy aisle while hiding a legacy of industrial negligence. Finally, we arrive at number 1, the absolute worst offender in the American market, hiding in plain sight at premium retailers like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, and organic cooperatives, Horizon Organic. Horizon is the undisputed titan of the organic dairy movement, the brand that single-handedly made organic a household term. Millions of American parents gladly pay double the price for that iconic red carton with the cartoon cow, trusting that they are protecting their children from industrial agriculture, synthetic hormones, and corporate greed. The accusation here is a monumental case of systemic organic fraud, a massive multi-year investigative report by the Washington Post exposed that Horizon's massive corporate-owned factory farms in the West were completely violating the legal and ethical definition of organic. Investigators tracked their operations and proved that their herds of up to 15,000 cows were rarely, if ever, allowed onto actual pasture to graze, directly violating the USDA access to pasture rule. Horizon was running high-stress, industrial concentrated animal feeding operations, SAFOs, the exact opposite of what consumers think they are buying, while using legal loopholes and sympathetic certifiers to keep the highly profitable USDA organic stamp on their carton. The sensory reality matches the fraud. Despite the astronomical price, the milk tastes completely flat, identical to cheap, factory-farmed generic milk because it comes from the exact same high-stress industrial environment. They changed the recipe of traditional farming entirely for the sake of corporate margins, leaving millions of well-meaning Americans completely defrauded at the checkout counter. Verdict zinger. Horizon Organic is an industrial factory farm scam that charges you a premium for an ethical lie. And now, what it was worth watching all the way through for. We have just slogged through the corporate swamp, exposing the industrial tricks, the inflammatory seed oils, the processed chemical thickeners, and the deceptive labels that treat you like a mark. But this expose isn't just about stoking your outrage. It is about providing your hard-earned solution. The first line of this section is a clear marker of the tonal shift. You are about to discover the genuine, unadulterated dairy products that restore your confidence as a buyer. These are the recommended brands that earned their place through uncompromising transparency, and you can buy every single one of them right now on American supermarket shelves like Kroger, Target, Safeway, and Whole Foods. We begin our premium selections with Organic Valley, which is highly accessible and perfectly balanced for a family budget. Organic Valley isn't a faceless corporate conglomerate. It is a cooperative owned directly by over 1,600 small family farmers across the country. Their entire philosophy centers on decentralized, independent agricultural stewardship. They refuse to use synthetic hormones, toxic pesticides, or prophylactic antibiotics, maintaining strict third-party USDA organic certifications. When you pour a glass of Organic Valley whole milk, the sensory difference is immediate. It doesn't have that thin, watery, or chalky consistency common in corporate generic milk drinks. It has a naturally rich, smooth texture and a clean, refreshing dairy flavor that finishes without a weird chemical film. This is real milk as nature intended, devoid of gellan gum or artificial stabilizers. Price analysis reveals that it is undeniably more expensive than standard supermarket house brands. A half-gallon will cost you significantly more than a Walmart generic. However, when you break down the cost per serving, the difference is minimal. Pennies more per glass to secure authentic macronutrients and high-value whey and casein proteins. Expert confirmation comes directly from the Cornucopia Institute's rigorous organic dairy scorecard, where Organic Valley consistently receives exemplary marks for herd health and pasture access. This option is ideal for mainstream shoppers who want an everyday, trustworthy organic staple without breaking the bank. Taking a significant step upward into premium quality is Maple Hill 100% grass-fed organic. This brand earned its stellar reputation by taking a radical approach to dairy production. Their cows never, under any circumstances, consume grain or corn. They are strictly pasture-raised, eating nothing but living grass and forage. Their farming philosophy relies on regenerative grazing practices that naturally restore soil ecology. The sensory profile of Maple Hill is an absolute revelation. Because the cows eat a diverse diet of fresh grasses, the milk possesses a complex, deeply satisfying dairy flavor with a subtle, clean sweetness that blows mass-produced alternatives completely out of the water. It feels genuinely velvety and substantial in your mouth, a thickness derived completely from natural, unstandardized butterfat rather than artificial thickening agents. Honest price analysis forces us to admit that Maple Hill is expensive. You are paying a definitive premium. But that markup is completely justified when you look at the biochemistry. Independent laboratory data, including comprehensive testing from the University of Minnesota, confirms that 100% grass-fed dairy contains up to 147% more omega-3 fatty acids and significantly higher concentrations of conjugated linoleic acid compared to conventional or standard grain-fed milk. For anyone seeking to reduce systemic bodily inflammation while maximizing nutritional density, this price difference is fully validated. This product is ideal for fitness-conscious individuals and families who view their food budget as an investment in preventative health. Finally, we arrive at our number one spot, the absolute pinnacle of American dairy quality, Alexander Family Farm. This brand represents the absolute gold standard, operating as a certified regenerative, organic, pasture-raised powerhouse. What sets them completely apart from the rest of the market is their absolute dedication to producing A2 SA-AA2 milk. They explicitly test every single cow in their heritage crossbred herd to guarantee that the animals carry only the A2 beta-casein gene, completely eliminating the A1 protein found in standard commercial herds. The practical effect of this is a total game changer. Clinical trials and expert gastroenterologist opinions have confirmed that the A1 protein breaks down into a peptide called BCM7 during digestion, which routinely causes severe gut irritation, bloating, gas, and inflammation, symptoms that millions of Americans mistakenly misdiagnose as lactose intolerance. Alexander Family Farm completely resolves this issue. Their milk is so clean and biologically appropriate that people who haven't drank real milk in a decade can consume it with zero digestive distress. The sensory experience is unparalleled. They offer an ultra-premium 6% cream top, whole milk that is intensely decadent, rich, and naturally flavorful. If you look at the price, it is easily the most expensive fluid milk on the shelf. The downside is that its premium price tag makes it a luxury, and it can occasionally be difficult to find outside of specialty chains or well-stocked grocers. But if you have the budget, or if you have a family member who loves dairy but suffers from chronic stomach upset, this product is worth every single dollar. Alexander Family Farm delivers raw agricultural integrity inside a bottle, proving that when you stop treating cows like industrial machines, the results are extraordinary. Now that you have the full breakdown of the absolute best and worst options on the market, it is time to arm you with the ultimate self-defense toolkit. When you walk into a Walmart, Target, Kroger, or Safeway, you need a quick, bulletproof method to decode the dairy aisle without getting fooled by corporate marketing teams. Here are the 7 non-negotiable concrete rules for choosing your dairy independently on your very next grocery run. First, completely ignore the front panel of the carton. Every single beautiful graphic of a rolling green pasture, a cartoon cow, or words like pure, natural, and farm fresh are totally unregulated marketing tricks designed to lull your critical thinking to sleep. Second, instantly flip the container around to look at the legal definition under the ingredient list. If the label says milk drink, dairy beverage, or combined product, you are not buying milk. You are buying an engineered liquid byproduct that fails to meet federal identity standards. Third, perform a strict industrial oil audit. Scan the ingredients for refined vegetable oils or fats like palm oil, soybean oil, canola oil, or safflower oil. Real milk contains natural milk fat from a cow, so if you see plant oils listed on a dairy container, put it right back on the shelf because it is a cheap, inflammatory imitation. Fourth, verify the protein density metrics. Authentic whole or low-fat milk must provide a minimum of 8 grams of protein per 8-ounce serving. If the nutritional facts panel reveals a meager 2, 3, or 4 grams of protein, the corporation has heavily diluted the product with water and whey permeates. Fifth, check for synthetic texture stabilizers. Watch out for red flag thickeners like carrageenan, gellan gum, gar gum, modified cornstarch, or mono and diglycerides. Corporations use these chemical binders to artificially recreate the rich mouthfeel of natural butterfat that they stripped out to sell separately for profit. Sixth, interrogate suspiciously low prices. If a gallon of milk or an organic labeled brand at a discount store is priced significantly lower than the market average, the company didn't pull off a financial miracle. They cut corners on animal welfare, herd testing, or recipe purity. Savant. Choose simple food structures over trendy wellness claims. Avoid highly processed dairy items that boast about being ultra-filtered, diet-friendly, or heavily flavored, as these claims are almost always smokes to hide an ingredient list full of artificial sweeteners like sucralose and chemical additives. To summarize this entire investigation, the modern industrial food complex isn't built to keep you healthy. It is built to cut production costs to the absolute baseline while maximizing corporate margins. They use legal loopholes and sophisticated marketing illusions to sell you watered-down, oil-infused dairy substitutes because they know the average shopper is too rushed to read the microscopic fine print. To permanently protect your family from being victims of this systemic corporate deception, you only need one simple shift in your shopping mindset. Treat your milk purchase as an investment